everybody, and welcome back to Ghouls Night In, the spooky chat show with your best ghoul friends. I'm Penny Snark.
And I'm Midge Munster.
And I feel like it won't surprise anyone, as someone who is into both fashion and spooky stuff, that I really love, like, dark fashion and, like, morbid fashion history.
Yes, yeah. I know you've got a thing for a lot of those, like, morning jewelries and those types of aspects, for sure.
Yes. So I thought today that maybe we could talk about poison rings.
Oh, I don't even know what that is, so I'm excited for you to tell me more.
All right. So just get it out of the way. I read the Wild History of Poison Rings from the Daily Beast, and also the Murky History of Poison Rings. So this is, as it sounds, a ring that has secret poison inside of it.
Secret poison.
Secret poison. So these were also known as pillbox or vessel rings. And so usually, it's a ring, it's got the gemstone, and the stone would be hinged and can like poke up like a locket to reveal what is underneath.
Oh, okay.
And so for non-murdery examples, when these first kind of came into being, I guess beforehand, like it was kind of customary that like if you had a special keepsake, you would wear it in like a pouch around your neck.
Oh, okay.
And this was kind of thought of being like a little bit more like handy. Pun unintended. But some things that you could keep in your ring, not for murder, would be like perfume, locks of hair, religious relics, since in the old times people loved like little saint body parts that they could keep on them. We could do a whole episode about that. And then much like, with a locket, sometimes you would put a portrait in there or, carry a secret message.
So was it very large or just like a little, like normal gemstone size little pop-up?
Yeah, I would say probably, I would guess like on the larger side since you do have something in there. But like the
Yeah.
idea was that it would be like subtle and that people wouldn't know that you had necessarily like a secret inside your ring. And one of the things that I especially loved was they were talking about in the 17th century, this got so popular. You're talking about mourning jewelry. They would make locket rings in the shape of caskets
Oh my
that you were
God.
supposed to have as like a memento for
Sign me up.
somebody, right?
What Etsy shop do I have to email subscribe to
Right? Oh my God.
to get a coffin-shaped mourning ring?
And so I don't have a ring, but I do have like a locket necklace that has solid perfume in it. So I
Oh,
wanted to
yeah.
know, Midge, what would you keep inside your secret ring compartment?
Oh, I mean, I do like the the idea of. I mean, I feel like when we were kids, there were little rings that had like lip smackers in them. Do you
Yeah.
remember that?
Yes,
And you
I
could like
do.
rub your little finger in there and put it on your lips. I do love the idea of having like perfume or something handy, like that's easy to carry around with you. But for like a weird and wonderful thing, I don't know, maybe like I think like secret message, like have like a little note or something that someone else put in there.
Yeah.
And like I can't look at it until I don't know, some specific moment. They're like, okay, when
Yes.
you see a black crow fly west, you can open the ring and inside you'll find instructions. And that's how you're going to steal the Declaration of Independence.
Hell yeah. I support this. So we're going to take it back a long ways, and we're going to talk a little bit about poisoning in general, just for some additional context. So poison goes back all the way to the ancient Sumerians. It says that in 4500, it said BC in this article, and I know we don't use that anymore, so maybe it's an old article. But it says that was when they kind of first documented the effects of poison, and they also worshipped a goddess of poisons called Gula, who was also
Ooh.
considered to be the mistress of charms and spells. So I thought that she sounded like a lady that you would like.
The first witch, yay!
Yes. And the earliest records of poisoning in Egypt date back to like 3000 BCE, and the earliest recorded Egyptian king actually did research about poisonous plants,
Mm.
and we have seen some of this stuff, which is wild. And yeah, so it sounds like Egyptians got into some of this poisoning business, prepared. They had a papyrus that we found that records the preparation of poisonous substances for specifically the purpose of murder. So
They wrote it down?
they wrote it down. They were like, this is how you get, cyanide out of this peach pit.
That's just not very smart. Like, that is point blank just making it you're the murderer. Like,
Right. I know. I guess maybe it would be like if it was like for like execution's sake. I guess it could be like for just like killing in general, but
they find somebody dead. They're like, well, Leo's the only one who wrote down how to make
right.
cyanide. And he
I'll
was like,
make
no, it was for science. Like, okay.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, ancient Egyptian Leo.
You know how Egyptians named their kids Leo, you know.
Yes. And poisoning was like rampant in the Roman Empire, and
That is unsurprising to me
Yep.
because those Romans were ruthless.
Yep, the Romans were the ones who made the first law against poisoning, specifically. So that was wild. And
Before then, it was cool.
right, and they did have poison rings back then. Pliny the Elder recounts a government official who escaped torture by taking a bite out of a ring. So it was like a thin shell that had poison inside, like how spies have like a fake tooth.
Oh. So
And
in that case, it was like a protective thing almost.
Mhm.
Like, I'll end this on my own terms.
Exactly, yeah. And apparently one of those nasty emperors, Heliogabalus,
Ooh.
wore a poison ring, but he was assassinated before he could ingest the contents. So he did not successfully get that poison in.
Aw, poor guy.
And there are obviously also, examples of poison in China and in Persia in this time. India had the first kind of secret service in the ancient world, and they actually had, I'm very sorry for this pronunciation, Visakanyas, which translates to poison damsels, who were like, awesome lady spies who would go and assassinate people with poison.
Yes, lady spies. Lady spies.
Oh, yeah.
See,
Assassination's
so
okay if it's a cool lady doing it.
exactly. See, I thought when you said poison rings, I was picturing like someone gives someone a ring that is secretly poisoned to like
Oh.
absorb into their skin somehow. That's what
Ooh.
I was thinking this was going to be. This is actually much cooler, but I also was like, wow, that would be. But then that leads to my next question.
Mm-hmm.
Could that happen even with the poison in the little,
Oh,
pocket? What
I
if it leaked
guess.
out? What if it leaked
I'm
out and got on your skin?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like different kinds of like some poisons you have to ingest, but like
Mhm.
some you can touch. So that see when you when you said it, I was like, no, my deadly nickel allergy. Like if you gave someone like a ring that they were allergic to.
That would be, I don't want to use the word funny because that sounds cruel, but that would be funny.
Yes, it would be entertaining.
My deadly nickel allergy.
No. But now we are getting into the European Middle Ages, where poison, common trade. There were even academic texts written by monks about like venoms and known poisons and like how to treat them. And poison rings apparently just started gaining popularity in this time
Hmm.
and carrying on into the Renaissance. So, poison rings are often most associated with a historic celeb, with Lucrezia Borgia.
Oh,
Are you familiar with the Borgias?
very minimally, but yes. Yeah.
Yes. So for those of you who aren't, there's a whole smutty cable series about this
Yep.
Renaissance family,
Yep.
which kind of tells you what you need to know about them. But Lucretia Borgia was the daughter of Pope Alexander VI, because that could happen back in those days. But she was like super well educated, very politically powerful. Like she was like governor of a city by herself, and was a ferocious lady who has a reputation for like the kind of like dinner party poisoning that I feel like most of us kind of think of when you think of poison rings. The idea of like just like slipping poison really quickly into someone's like wine over dinner.
She had an appetite for murder.
Right. So there is no historical confirmation that she actually murdered someone, but like there wouldn't be. So
Right. Yeah, because before like 25 years ago, you could just murder someone and slip away into the night and people are like, "Well, I don't know.
right.
That's
And also
too
like
bad."
and I mean she was like the daughter of a pope, so it's not like they were gonna write that
Yeah.
down and be like, yeah, she definitely murdered people all the time.
That's
But
that's what I want my biography to say someday.
just all the murders. See, they'll come up with new murders that you didn't even do.
Yeah. I want to be known as the lady with the poison ring that threw dinner parties. They're like, her Pyrex was poisonous.
But because of this, so this connection, obviously, she was in Vatican City, Italy stuff. In Italy, to this day, pouring a drink while holding the bottle with like the back of your hand facing down is known as versare alla traditora, or the traitor's pour, and is still
Oh.
considered offensive because that would be how like you would, take the bottle and kind of tip it so that like your ring could fall open and drop into the glass.
Okay, so like with your hand like under the bottle basically.
Yeah, or I think I'm kind of picturing like if you grabbed the bottle with like your hand pointing towards the mouth and then
Mm-hmm.
pour, that it would potentially
I am
drop that
imagining like
poison.
because you really only get one shot at that, right?
Yeah.
And if it's noticeable, your friend is going to be like, "Hey dude, are you just quick question, are you trying to poison me?" Like I imagine these people sitting at home and practicing, like taking a glass and a bottle and being like, "Okay, step 1, grab bottle. Step 2, and flip." Like
Right. And I will say when they're describing this as like, oh, letting something drop from the ring, I'm like, but don't, not to be culturally insensitive, but don't Italians wave their hands around a lot? Like I feel like your ring would be popping open if it
well,
was like
that's
that easy for poison to just fall out of it.
maybe it's a situation where it had like a little latch and you had to
Oh,
unlatch it
yes.
right before you pour so it would just fall open.
Yes.
But yeah, no, literally, I was also thinking, it's like, well, if it's just as easy as, 1, 2, and it just pops.
Right? I feel like you'd go to like murder someone and you'd be like, shit, the poison fell out. Like,
It's
where did all my
empty.
poison go?
Yeah, no, I'm not Italian, but I definitely would have that problem.
Same, same. I'm like, I'm waving my hands around all the time, especially if I'm at a sweet dinner party and I'm,
Yeah,
trying to schmooze.
yeah.
One of the
Wild.
things that I thought was really fun was kind of like the inverse of this. The Daily Beast article I read was talking about how with this, kind of superstition and belief around the powers of gemstones, rock crystals were thought to be a guard against poisons. And you see a lot of those crystals like in goblets and chalices over the
Sure.
centuries. Like, obviously, it's luxury and it's very fabulous, but also maybe you were hoping that if someone dumped some poison in your goblet, this crystal would help you out.
The clear quartz just filters it out. That's
Yeah,
exactly how that works.
it's all good.
It's wild to me how, like, I don't want to say gullible people were, but like how just like, well, yeah, of course, I'll just, nobody can poison me if there's this ruby in my cup. Like,
Right.
and people, I mean, really believed that. It's just crazy to me that, like, how did the human race survive this long?
Right. Whenever like looking at stuff like this, I just wonder like what, 200 years from now they're going to be like, "Can you believe that people in
Right.
2020 believed this? Look at those goobers."
Look at those goobers. They wore stupid blue light glasses so that the computer wouldn't hurt their eyes. Like, that's what I'm picturing as our poison ring, or
Yep, I could
our
see that.
crystal goblet. It's
Our
probably not
crystal.
doing anything.
So I did look up some examples of pop culture where poison rings came into play. Verdi's opera Il Trovatore, Lady Leonora commits suicide by ingesting poison from her poison ring so she can
Hmm.
remain faithful to her lover. I don't
Sure.
know anything else about the plot of Il Trovatore, so I'm not sure how that comes into play exactly, but
I'm gonna
I
just tell
believe
you
it.
right now, there is no man's or woman's or anyone's on earth that I would ingest poison for to stay loyal to.
Yeah, no.
Like, you're great, but sorry.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. There is apparently use of a poison ring on Pretty Little Liars.
Okay, okay. I'm about to like out myself as being trash, but I loved that show when it was on when I was like in high school. And when you brought this up and started talking about what it was, I was like, I swear I remember a TV show where someone used this. That's what it is. It was PLL.
There
That's
you
so
go.
funny.
And see, I did not watch Pretty Little Liars, so I was like, I believe this. And then I was like, I know that this is a show that's like very mysterious, so I was like, I'm not going to read like all the details in
Mm-hmm.
case it's a crazy spoiler, but
I'm gonna
there
tell
is a
you,
poison ring.
it's not a good show. But it
But you
also,
love it.
I loved it at the time, and it was one of those things that was like scary adjacent, like there was murder
Yeah.
and stuff involved, so it was like spooky enough that I could go to bed at night kind of thing. It's a gateway scary.
And one that I actually remember, Lady Gaga in the paparazzi music video, poisons her man
Oh,
with a poison ring.
really?
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to go back and watch that. I don't remember that. That's cool though.
Yeah, so anyone who hasn't seen that, check it out. I feel like these were the ones that like I thought seemed there were like a few other things where it was just like in this ancient play so and so uses this and I'm like that's boring. We're not putting that in. No one knows about that. But I would love to hear from other people because I'm sure like there are, lesser known like books and stuff
Mm-hmm.
that have poison rings in them. And I am fascinated and I would like to know if you have seen a poison ring in some kind of media that you have consumed.
Yeah, man. Now I'm like, I want to go watch that Lady Gaga music video.
Yes. I dressed up as Lady Gaga from the paparazzi video for Halloween one year in college.
Amazing.
Yes. I enjoyed
Which
it.
that was during her like short blonde wig phase, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Good stuff.
I did in fact have blonde hair at the time. So
That's a weird image.
I know. That's what my actual hair looks like.
I just in my head it grows out of your head green.
I wish. I wish. So the one downer, well, it's weird. No, I mean the whole episode's a downer because people are getting.
I was gonna say what was uplifting before about poisoning people at dinner parties.
So I guess this is actually the uplifting part of the episode, which was that experts say that disguising the taste of a poison and that was also in a dose powerful enough to be fatal but fit in your ring would be
Mm.
very, very difficult. So it's probably likely that not a whole lot of people got murdered by poison rings,
Oh well, there you go.
which I guess is good, but was
What's
somewhat
the
disappointing for me to learn.
what's the is it cyanide that like almond is supposed to like it's supposed to spell almondy and people use like almond to cover it up?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it would be pretty obvious if, someone dunked it right into your wine. And
Mm-hmm.
I I feel like it would also just like, I'm trying to picture like something like dissolving that quickly, which
Where
would
you
be
wouldn't
difficult, where you wouldn't notice it.
notice.
But
So
they
I guess,
are,
is it like a tablet then, or is it like
it said that it
liquid?
could be tablet, liquid, or powder.
Okay. Hmm. Yeah, because I feel like you would need to like stir it, like somehow.
Right?
uh,
But
huh.
I mean, I guess when you're wine tasting, you like swirl the wine to
Sure.
release the wine stuff, I guess. So
That's exactly
maybe,
it. Yeah.
yeah. So maybe you dunk the poison in there, and then you're like, "Ooh, let me just give your glass like a quick swirl, so it's extra winey for you,"
let
and
me
then
let me
hand it back.
aerate that. Yeah,
Yes,
that's true. I guess that could be. I don't know
but
why that all I'm picturing in my head is Emperor's New Groove when Kronk makes the drinks with the poison and then he forgets which one, so he has to go mix them all together and like tell them not to drink it. That would be me trying to poison somebody.
yes, and isn't like in the very first, like when he initially poisons it, there's like a huge smoke cloud.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it
I'm
goes like
I'm picturing that you're like trying to like subtly dunk some poison into some wine, and it's just like poof.
it makes like a giant explosion noise. They're like,
Yes.
"What was that?" And you're like, "Oh no, my biscuits are burning in the oven. Here, drink this wine."
Drink this wine. It's totally cool.
It's
Don't worry
totally
about
unsuspicious.
it.
You know what would be a real badass thing in this scenario? I guess you couldn't necessarily what's the word? Like anticipate what type of poison might be used against you. But I would carry a poison ring in this scenario that had some kind of anecdote in it, and I would just be pouring
Ooh,
that shit in
yes.
every beverage before I drank it.
That would be very smart. Just keep your antidote on hand, and
Yeah.
then
Or like I
you
guess not
never
even pour it
worry.
in the drink, just take a drink and then shoot out of my ring. Take that, cyanide.
Take that. But yeah, so I was like, I guess, poison rings probably not as common as the gothic imagination would like us to assume, but they're very cool and very interesting. And you still see, some jewelry companies making secret rings today that have a hidden compartment. So obviously, we're all still fascinated by this concept that you could have like a little something something inside your ring, even if it's not poison.
Yeah, I will say I did a deep dive just a moment ago, and wow, there's a lot of Etsy shops that make, and they call them poison rings. Like you can still buy them, and they are very cool.
They are very cool. Do not Ghouls Night In does not condone poisoning of anyone. Put
Yes,
put some
for
hair or a saint's tooth in there like a normal person.
cut your best friend's hair when they're sleeping. Put it in your ring. Normal
You
best
know,
friend stuff.
normal stuff.
That's what we should have, friendship rings, and I'll have a lock of your hair and you can have a lock of mine. It'll be really cute.
Oh, I would wear a ring with your hair in it, Midge.
Aww, friendship.
So that is the wild and wacky history of poison rings and poison in general. I always love a spooky fashion moment. So if there are other spooky fashion things, like I've definitely like looked into like arsenic green and spontaneous combustion of dresses before. So maybe that'll be a future Ghouls Night episode.
Spontaneous dress combustion.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a nip on that. That's wild.
That is fabulous. All right. Well, thank you to everyone for joining us today. Don't tell us if you've poisoned anyone, but do tell us if you have any cool jewelry that has secret compartments inside, and we'll just make our own assumptions.
Yes. Please do not, for legal purposes, do not confess. You are not, what's the word? Like when you can't be incriminated.
Oh yeah, I
we will
don't.
have to report you
Yeah,
if
we
you
will.
poison
We are
someone. I'm
we are
so sorry.
mandated reporters when it comes to poison rings. Only that though. All right. Did you have a review to read today, Midge?
We do have a new review. So remember to leave us a review on our favorite podcatcher of choice so that we can read yours live on the air. So this one comes from Aja Destiny, and it is a 5-star review with the title Obsessed. Thank you. This podcast brings out the inner spooky I didn't know was there. Give this podcast a listen, and you'll never want to hear them say goodbye.
Oh, thank you so much. I definitely I recognize Aja from Instagram, so thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, thank you, Aja.
Yes. So please do follow us on Ghouls Night in Pod on Instagram if you'd like to keep up with everything that we are doing. And if you want to find me, you can find me at Penny Snark.
And I am across all platforms at Midge Munster.
And until next time,
Goodbye.
goodbye.